time to start the actual corsets. I just want to keep procrastinating. I only have 2 months and I still have all the outfits to make. So I decided that I am also just going to do mine in this pattern after testing so many patterns and spending so much money on patterns, which is fine. I am happy to give my money to these independent pattern makers. They deserve it. They earned it. But ultimately, I just love the cinching of the waist, whether that's just the angle. So we'll see. But we'll start with Katie's, and then we'll work on mine. I have dyed the cotillion fabric. It was just a plain white, which is fine, but I'm not doing a lining on this corset. I don't think it really needs it. But since it has little flappy flaps, I thought it'd be cute to not just have like a bright white underneath, have some color. So this will match Katie's fabric, and do I have any scraps of mine? This will match my fabric. We had a little bit trouble because I thought it'd be great to add a little dash of purple to help deepen the color, and then it just dyed it kind of a purpley gray black. So I just added more green and some yellow and a little bit orange, and now we have this army green, which is great. I think it works really well. I think it blends with the little leaves in there. So I have all the pattern pieces cut for the fashion fabric. I went ahead and cut it larger just because of fraying and stuff, and I don't want to cut it exact and then have to line it exact on the exact cuts of the lining. Yeah. And okay, so we're gonna get these cut. I'm gonna start with the yellow and then draw on all the lines. Seriously, making a corset is like, the sewing of the corset takes me maybe 2 days, like, to do all the finishings and stuff, but prepping the corset to taping the pattern, cutting the size, doing any alterations, cutting the fabric, drawing on all the lines for the boning channels, that's what takes so much of my time. I literally will not be sewing this probably for like another 2 days, which it's fine. Sewing all the straight lines for the bowing channels is so time consuming and boring, but it is extremely important. I really like to just power through things, but you really gotta take your time doing this because you could easily, even with the lines drawn, I still go off and get uneven channels. So doing this for 2 people, it was a struggle, let me tell you. Anyways, once all the sewing is done, I always leave long tails. I pull the thread from the outside to the inside of the corsets and I just tie it off, and then I like to take the extra step and do something called tucking my tails, pulling your thread in between your layers. This will give you a nice clean finish on the outside instead of having a bulky back stitch. Now that we got all the pattern pieces prepped, we can finally start sewing them together. I'm doing my best here to show you this very complicated back piece, but if you ever buy the pattern, she actually goes over it very well in the instructions. You kind of have to sew one side up, cut a V, and then pull the fabric almost straight and keep sewing, and then you get this really like beautiful seam. That's the best way I can describe it. Even though it took me longer, I went ahead and basted all the seams together. That way I can make sure that the lines on both sides of the patterns lined up perfectly. If you're struggling with that, I highly recommend just doing a hand basting stitch through and then sewing it, and then you can cut out this basting stitch. I was supposed to just sew this little chunk normally and then turn it out and then sew the 2 pattern pieces together. It's fine. I'm gonna make it work. I have no faith in myself, guys. We got the bias binding sewn on to the one side on the bottom, and the top. Did not bother filming doing this bottom. It was extremely difficult. There we go. It was extremely difficult around these corners, so I would have to like back stitch, cut the thread, hand sew enough for my foot to fit under there, and sew more until I got to the next corner. Probably would have been faster to just hand sew it, but yeah, my hand sewing tends to get lazy. And as well, something else I didn't film was putting in this twill tape to cover up all my raw edges. Also, you can see I accidentally, this was folded over, so it would have been nice if I thought about doing that before doing my grommets. When I punched that hole, it was folded and got a double hole. We have Katie's stays pieces. I made that hoe tie all her own little knots and trim off the extra fabric for me. So what we're going to do is first we're going to serge the edges and then we'll finish sewing them together. So that way we don't have to do all this again, because that was a waste of my time. But we had to do it because we backed ourselves into a corner. Anyway, so we're going to work on that. Also, just wanted to show off, I got a quarter of this done last night. So just this one little half is done, but then we still have all of this in the bottom to do, but forget about that for now. And let's get started on this. Okay. We got everything sewn together. I also went ahead and did all the grommets before I sewed on the back panels, just so it was a little easier. And before everything was boned, we got everything serged. It's not perfect. There's some like really bad spots here. Yeah, it's not great, but it will get the job done, and it's on the inside, so who cares? What I'm going to do next is the boning, but while I'm doing that, I think I'm going to go ahead and take my pre-bought bias tape and dye it a little more mustardy color, because right now this primary yellow against this color is just not giving. So yeah, let's measure this out, cut it, let it go sit in some lukewarm dye so it hopefully doesn't undo these iron seams. Okay. Good soup. The last thing that we need to make for this outfit is a matching skirt. I'm doing it kind of like an 18th century petticoat. It's just 2 big rectangles to the size that fits your waist and the length that you want. Then I'm going to cut out 2 rectangles for the waistband for front and back, because we're going to want to leave a gap for our pockets. The width of my fabric actually wound up being perfect, so I didn't have to do too much measurements, but here's the measurements that I did. And you can do this before you sew up the side seams or after. I guess it really didn't matter, but I'm just doing a gathering stitch, so that way we can gather our fabric to match the size of our waistbands for the front and back. And of course, Dipper has to be a menace while I'm trying to do this. Next step is sewing on the waistband to the front and back. I'm just doing I just call it a bias tape method, because it's the same way that you sew on bias tape. And then once that's done, I'll just thread some twill tape through, and then it's complete. Oh yeah, don't forget to hem it though. Oops. Okay. Well,
I'm on wide camera.